I called my good friend, one of the assistant superintendents, and I asked him, I said, now, I met some guys out here that are saying that only 22% of the kids in that middle school can read. And I said, is that true? And he said, well, Pastor, I hate to have to tell you this, but that is about right. But we're making progress. And of course, we come to learn that progress wasn't being made. In fact, it was getting worse.
Well, welcome to this conversation with one of Kentucky's voices of change. I'm Jim Waters with the Bluegrass Institute, and I am privileged to have with me today one of the strongest voices for change in our Commonwealth, and that is the voice of Pastor Jerry Stephenson. And your voice hasn't just been in the four walls of this church.
The thing about my tenure here at the Midwest Church of Christ, I came here as a teenager. I started attending the church here because one of my older brothers came and my neighbor, and I would just come over because I didn't have anything else to do. When I was a child, I had an uncle that told me, Jerry Lewis, one day, boy, you're going to be a preacher. I said, Uncle George, a preacher will be the last thing I'm going to be. After graduating from high school and entering into college, I was baptized into Jesus Christ, and immediately went on off to college and studied and played my ball and come on back home and started working within the community and working with the pastor, our senior pastor at that time, Brother J. Frank McGill. And he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, that one day that I would lead this congregation. We started a radio program, okay? And with that radio program, we began to look at some things. JCPS. I said, hey, all these good programs. I mean, they had great programs. Why is it that the kids are not participating? When I found out that only 22% of the kids could read, I understood why. And I'm not a person, when I see something wrong, to close my eyes and just walk away from it. Of course, we started that this was a West Louisville problem, but we come to understand this was not just a West Louisville problem. It was a problem all over the district. We said bust the kids out so they'll be able to get the resources and that the white kids were getting in the East End. That was a mistake. There was this aim of expanding what they needed in the lower grades, but they didn't do that. They said busing would be the answer. They should have put the resources in our community. These public systems ought to be held accountable. Until there's a financial heartache upon a system, well, they're not going to change. The greatest change will take place when we put the money in the hands of the parents. And I promise you, superintendents and school administrators, I bet you they'll start finding ways to educate our children. You can't change Kentucky without the legislature. You know, if you're talking about a permanent resolution, the constitutional amendment, it has to be approved, because otherwise you go from one generation to the next, one political leaders to the next. The security of our children's education depends upon the solid foundation that this constitutional amendment can bring to this. Without it, we're only from one voice to the next. And that's what we've got to have. We got to change.